It seems we have a situation on our hands, brothers and sisters. It seems we do. This will be our lesson in the Luminaries. Floating disc. So, just look at these pictures for half a second. Then I'm going to float to my next slide. And don't worry, we'll come back to that slide. Look at these pictures for half a moment. Take it all in. Look at these pictures. Now we're going to go back to that first scene, right? And I want y'all to look at this light. You can see it. It's night out time. It's night outside, excuse me. And in the picture, you have the moon. The lights are actually triangulated in a very weird way. You know, there's the moon at the top, a light below it, and then another light at the corner of the picture, really just like a triangle, if you look at it. And the difference, I want y'all to look at that light that's in front of the bushes, and I need y'all to look at the sun. Don't look at the moon per se. I need you to look at that light and look at the sun. And you can tell that there's no light permeating behind the sun. This is deep now. You can see the lamp, and you can see the light permeating behind it. But from the sun and the moon, from what it really looks like, it looks like the light is right in front of us, as if it's a disc more so than it is a sphere. Now, contrary to popular belief, it's much easier for a person to be told something and believe it than it is for them to investigate for themselves and come to their own conclusion. It's much easier to just believe what you're told. For example, we're told to wash our hands when we get done using the restroom, from the time we're little children, little babes, all the way when you have jobs that deal with sensitive items that need you to have clean hands. And obviously it's because it's hygienic and it's clean to do. So we're we're a people and a species that lives off of word of mouth. And the word of my mouth is saying that until somebody can show me the depth, like an actual picture, where they fly up by the firmament and show me the depth of the sun and show me the depth of the moon, the breadth thereof, its volume, I'm forced to believe certain things. Now, as we move to this next slide, and it comes to, even though the first picture that we're going to see with the track on it is not as visible, the light is still there. And it's a forward pushing light, and the light is increased. If you can see the picture, there's a small gathering of clouds. And anyone who's ever seen the sun burn bright has seen the sun illuminate through the clouds and light up the clouds. I'm not the only person who's witnessed this phenomenon. Now, that being said, all the clouds don't have light just because they're lit up by the sun. It just means that the luminosity or the brightness of the sun is so amazing that it can give something that has volume, or what looks like volume, something that has a presence, light, and the light will shine through. Now, having said that, all these other pictures, no matter the clearness or the definition of the picture, there is a true thing, and possibly the best picture to use is where the moon is the furthest out seeming, or the picture is the least blown up, or however you want to say it. But you can see here that when you look at the moon in that picture, and let's just say you compare it to the sun does not look like it has light behind it. No matter the aura that it has in the sky in general, the sun itself does not seem like there's a light behind it, like there's a surrounding orb of light. It seems like a disk more than an orb. Having said that, the 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 geometry or the geology, however you want to say it, or both, how they try to explain the distance of the sun and its perfect angle, and how the moon is in the sun's gravitational pull at the right distance, right? So that way that life can be sustained. We're just going to go based on what they say. Now, it tells us that the moon blocks out, because the sun is so far away that they seem to be the same size, but the moon will block out a portion of the sun's light on the earth. While the earth is still spinning and rotating, a part of the earth is now without light, and the other part is with light. Now, the issue that I have with this is that, geographically speaking, there are locales on the earth that don't share uh, sunlight, but so-called share a time zone, and vice versa. So, with that being said, how could that be the truth? Or how could the earth be a sphere, the sun be a sphere, and the moon be a sphere? That's all I'm saying on that level. Now, if anybody can spot a light behind the sun, and I mean like an actual light that seems like depth, like an orange, right? Or anything that has volume, let me know. And these are some more amazing pictures just to look at. The picture with the moon behind the clouds is probably the most damning picture of them all, because it doesn't there the natural light of the moon is not enough to normally push through the clouds at night. Sometimes you can see through, but sometimes it'll be a full moon and the clouds will be so thick, like before it rains, for example, the clouds are very dark, very thick. It's very difficult to see the full moon even on a night like that. Now, if the clouds separate, or there's a space in the clouds, a break in the clouds, as they say, then you can see the light of the moon. But even then, there's no depth to the moon. Like what we see literally is what we get. Look at that aura that the moon is putting out on the clear night as opposed to the cloudy night. The bottom right hand picture and the largest picture in this segment. The moon literally is putting out an aura. That aura is not being shown in those clouds, but that same aura can be seen in the other pictures. The light that is on the ground even has its own aura, as did the first light in the first picture, right? Has its own aura. But its light looks, I don't know, fuller, or I can see all of its body, most of its body. I can see where the top is. I can see parts of the light that I just can't see on the sun and on the moon. And people can argue distance, but my question is that if it's above us and we're below it, shouldn't we be able to see curvature at some point? Think about what I'm saying. Should we not be able to see curvature? Brothers and sisters, this has been our lesson in the luminaries. I will give you a small sample, real quick, of what I have in my mind and just some things to think about. Now, we all know that there's 6 portals that the sun and the moon both travel through. I started to think, and I said, Demetrius, I said, where did they get this number 6 from? That it's an unholy number, right? Or and they have all these different things that they do numerically in the Bible. But what But the first thing that came to my mind when I really put it to deep thought, I said, you know what? It could just be the six portals of heaven. That could be where they got the number six and just did all this other stuff to throw people off. But that number is not an unholy number when you talk about the stations in heaven. You talk about the portals in which the sun and the moon travel through. And they would have us to demean or to diminish the importance of something or to overread into something, I should say, at another level, and therefore miss the blessing that we ought to get. Brothers and sisters, don't miss this blessing. That is a disc, more than likely, that we are looking at. Nothing in the book of Enoch tells us that the sun or the moon are actually orbs. Tells us that they're stars. Tells us that they have circumference like that of the heaven. But doesn't tell us that they're actually spheres. Nah, just something to think about. Even when you turn on a light bulb and you look at a light bulb, and you could say, well, Meech, if a light bulb was so far away, would you really be able to see the, well, if it's supposed to be a certain size, right? The sun is supposed to be able to fit millions or whatever of Earths in it, or thousands, or however many. It's supposed to be able to fit a whole bunch of Earths in the sun. So if it's supposed to be that large, right? And the moon is supposed to be 1/5 the size of the earth. These are things that I know about because obviously I just remember what I was told or what I was taught. So if that's the case, the only logical thing is that either they don't know what they're talking about, or or maybe, you know what? Distance and depth and all those things, I just have it all confused. But I'm telling you though, I can look at mountains from miles away and I can see the part where the mountain curves, even though I'm miles away from it. Miles. And the mountain ain't nowhere near the size of the sun or the moon. Okay, brothers and sisters, I only ask that tomorrow be better than today, and may your next week be better than your last.